Yo guys, welcome to episode 3 of After Dark. This episode is going to be me taking a seat on this chair, putting you guys down where I have my serious talks and just explaining a bit more about me and just talking about just my life in general. So guys, let's get into this episode. It's going to be talking about my life and just me in general, just get to know me a bit better. I am Tyler. Life of Tyler. I'm 23, from Braintree, Essex, England. I've lived on my own now for about 6 or 7 years. I've lived in this flat for about 4 years, and before that I was in temporary living places by social services. So from the age of 11 and 12, I was in foster care up until I was 15 to 16, and I was with about 15 to 20 different carers. That includes the respite carers. Some of the carers I was placed with were good, some of them were bad. I'm going to dive into a bit more about that now. So we're going to talk about the carers that I was with in 2013. They were in Braintree, Essex, where I was born. But when I first moved there, everything was sweet, fine. Everything seemed up, and then until the carers started to show the true colours a bit, I'd be locked away most days in my room, wasn't rarely allowed out my room except from when I was going to school and seeing family members. But obviously I started to notice certain things were wrong that were going on, and obviously from the outside world no one really saw anything except from my family. And the first person to notice things were wrong were my parents. What I'm about to talk about now is going to be a bit in-depth because this is After Dark, so if you don't like this kind of content, you can click off now or just skip forward. I can flash back to this memory quite well because it was a normal afternoon and me and my foster carers were just chilling out. West Ham versus Liverpool was on, and we both were cheering on the same team. They'd taken away all of my things to game, like my PSP, my DS, my phone, just everything possible of contacting the outside world I wasn't allowed to have. They took my iPod off me. This is going back some years as well. Obviously I had an Xbox at the time, but it wasn't the Xbox One because that wasn't out yet. This was the Xbox 360. I had that still, but I couldn't message anyone on there to let people know. I'd get locked away in my room and they'd take away like my iPod, my PSP, my DS, my Xbox. Everything would get taken off me. Until one day it got to a point where I needed to get out of there. I needed to leave because it was getting to a point where the carer, I'm not going to name his name, but the male carer was starting to get a bit more violent in his words towards me. It got to the point where I snuck into the kitchen. I took the keys from the kitchen cabinet and I went into the downstairs toilet at the time. I then moved the vase and moved it onto the bathroom floor, and I then had to try and find out which key opened that window for the bathroom. Bear in mind, it is quite a high window as well. I managed to find the right key and I opened that window. I was still in my dressing gown, jumped out that window and I just ran for it. I ran up the road a bit, I dumped the keys in a drain because I thought, you know what, you've been keeping me locked up. The only time I can go out is school and I didn't want to talk about it, so I just ran. I ran and I got to a local petrol station. At that point I was starting to panic because I knew that they'd noticed I wasn't there, like I was gone. So I ran to the local Shell garage. I went in there, asked to use their phone. At that point my family had turned up and got me, picked me up, drove me a few miles back to their town. I'd then gone to my family member's home, chilled there for a while. I was then reported missing, and obviously I was not willing to go back there because I knew as soon as I was going to be found I'd be taken straight back to them carers because social services didn't believe a word I was saying and just let what happened happen. This is why social services is so messed up and let children get so messed up, because they don't sort things properly. They get their check and they just leave it. They don't deal with it. And trust me, I should know this. I was in the system for so long. I was every social worker I had just didn't care, except for the final ones I had, they cared. So I got to a family member's home, and straight away that place was a hot spot for me being there, so I had to leave. I ran to my other family member's home. Obviously I'm not going to say names. To my other family member's home and stayed there till late, until I had no choice but to go back to them carers. That's when I went back and with the police, and they took me back there, and I knew as soon as I was going to walk through that door, and as soon as that door shut when I got dropped off, it was going to kick off like crazy with them, because obviously I dumped their keys down a drain. They've now got to pay for brand new car keys, door keys, everything. Me getting placed in that home was the worst thing social services could have ever done to me, because that's the place that really messed up my head from quite a young age, and which led me down a path of just feeling, well, is this what everyone's like? Is everyone going to be like this towards me? So basically I ended up running away again. I kept running away and running away from there until I got moved. And at that point, social services said my family being close to me was a problem because I was running away all the time. That's when they then moved me from my school where all my friends were, and they moved me to Maidstone in Kent. So Maidstone in Kent, it's quite far from Essex. Didn't know anyone there. I had to make more friends again. I had to get to know carers again. But these carers, honestly, they changed my life. They were my last foster carers ever I had. I stayed there 4 or 5 years. Obviously a couple of things happened there, but obviously it wasn't what they done. It was more to do with what I done. I was playing up all the time because my head was so messed up. But obviously them carers in Kent, they were absolutely lovely. I still spoke to them up until 2022, and I left there in 2016, so that kind of shows that kind of bond that we had. Yeah, I mean, I do miss being there, to be honest with you, because I think my life would have been so much different if I stayed there and didn't move back in with family. Because basically I went on a visit while with these carers in Kent, and I went to stay with my family in Essex in 2016, and I said I'm not going back there, I'm staying with family. And social services obviously had to do some tests and make sure I was fine to go there, but they realised I'm at that age now where, you know what, you've been through the system. Also guys, I just wanted to let you know that if you do hear me mess up my words a bit, it's because I do have a speech impediment, which is when I get stressed out, my words don't come out properly. And obviously talking about this stuff does bring up a lot of memories, it brings up a lot of flashbacks, and obviously I'm fine obviously, but I just want to talk about it and just let it out and just talk about things. But yeah, I ended up moving back in with family, and then stayed with family for a while, mixed between family members, until the point where social services put me into like a temporary living place with 3 other people sharing a house. Went through a couple of them until the point where I was given this place, the place that I'm currently living. I've been here 4 years, and you know what? I absolutely love this place. Obviously, if it was in a completely different town, I'd love it more, but this is my home. This is Twixie's home. So yeah, I'm sorry if this episode has been a bit dark, getting a bit too much in detail of my life, but I wanted to explain myself, show a bit more about myself. So guys, I'm going to end this episode of After Dark here. Just feel a bit stressed out after talking about some things, so I'm going to chill out for a bit. I'm going to put some photos and some videos up now after the outro, and yeah, I hope you enjoy them. It's just 4 years of my life in photos. Other than that, I've been Knife for Tyler, and I'll catch you tomorrow for day 12 of the vlogs. So I'll catch you then. Peace.
No one singing, no, 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 no. I said no one singing.